You said getting rid of Sharia law was white supremacy. Let's roll the tape. Go.
I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
So getting rid of Sharia law is white supremacy. Can you explain that one?
Do you know what canon law is? Jesse, I assume you're Christian, right?
Yeah, tell me.
All right, so canon law is the name for Christian law. I don't begrudge you your right to practice your faith as you choose. I don't know why the idea that I could practice my faith as I choose is a problem. Nobody is trying to push Sharia law on anyone else, just like I hope nobody is trying to push canon law on anybody else, because we live in an America where you should have the freedom of your religion. So the idea that you have somebody like Tommy Tuberville, right, who, you know, barely was good at coaching football, is out here trying to ban Sharia law when there's less than 1% of the Muslim community in America, as if somehow Muslims are out here trying to push Sharia law, that seems to me to be deliberately targeting the Muslim community because they're different. And I'm just saying that, like, I have no issue with people practicing their faith. In fact, I would never want somebody to push their faith on me, and I would never want to push my faith on somebody else.
Good, because no one wants you to get rid of your religion.
And so the idea, I'm
no
just saying,
one wants that.
So, but when people preemptively go out there and start preemptively passing laws to ban something that's not happening, what you're trying to do is target a very small community because they're different. And this operates. I mean, look, I'm just going to say, there's statistical evidence that the president and the vice president
Michigan
like
is
to
kind of
target
scary.
me simply
people
as a
don't
function
go
of my
for
faith.
that. You know, it's like men aren't equal from women. It's like physical punishments.
You like to say the word. Look, Jesse, look,
people don't
like
like that in Michigan. I'm just saying, I don't think that's a good position.
And scary. Nobody's pushing it. No, but Jesse, nobody's pushing it. You know what the issue is in America, in Michigan?
What?
The issue that people are worried about is not that somehow somebody's going to come and push Sharia law on them. The issue in Michigan is people are worried about how they're going to afford their gas. The issue in Michigan is how am I going to see a doctor when I get sick? How am I going to keep my job? You're out here, honestly, you guys love to play this culture war game where you use these words that sound really foreign to avoid actually having to talk about the issues that everyday people like to talk about. Now, look, Mike Rogers is the guy I'm running against for U.S. Senate, and I know you've had him on your show. Maybe he answers questions. I don't know if he does.
I've actually never had him on.
Only, but look, you haven't. So he's ducking your show, too, because he's ducking. Look, can we all agree? Like,
I haven't
Jesse,
invited
you and I
him on.
are going to have a debate, right? Can we all agree that Mike Rogers is a beta? Can we all agree with that?
I haven't even had him on.
Dude won't even come on your show because he's afraid of getting grilled.
I will have him on.
That guy,
and I'm sure it'll be great. But Abdul,
like, Jesse, let me just say,
can I back up
he's
for
out
1
here
second?
trying to talk about my.
Can I back up for 1 second?
Finish my point. I'll finish. I swear I'll be quick.
Okay, because Mike Rogers isn't here to defend himself.
He thinks he's running against Hassan Piker. Well, maybe then he'll actually come on your show. Maybe I'm doing you a favor then. But the guy's a beta, doesn't like to answer questions, and he dodges every debate. So I'm pretty sure he's going to dodge you too.
Need Mike Rogers on the show, but thanks.
All I'm going to say is this.
Thanks for booking it. You know, I agree. Gas prices are too high. Gas prices are too high. Abdul, pipe down 1 second. Gas prices are too high. Green New Deal's not going to help that.
What's going on, everybody? I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. You guys got to see this because this is what liberals do. This is what Democrats do. They filibuster. He didn't like the question, and he filibustered. And then he brings up, you know, some law that a lot of you guys had probably never even heard of. I don't know if you guys had ever heard of canon law before, but canon law essentially is an organized system of rules used to govern Christian churches, especially the Roman Catholic Church. Now, in America, you have, Catholics. Obviously, you have those that would be considered Protestants. They're not the same, although they are similar, but canon law covers things such as church leadership and authority, duties of the clergy and church membership, marriage and annulments, baptism and communion, church discipline, church trials and penalties, ownership and administration of church property. So it's really just all the way around the church. When you speak about what's happening and what Jesse Waters asked, it's more of a form of government than, something completely around the actual religion itself. And the fact that he brought up, and I would assume this is a talking point that was given to him by his handlers to say, hey, when they bring up this, you make sure you bring up canon law. Because the reality of it is most people have probably never even heard of it before. I personally hadn't heard of it before until he mentioned it. I had to go look it up. We got more to get into. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel.
Abdul, because this isn't a podcast. I got to sell ads in the breaks. You want to soak the rich. Let's listen to what you said about the taxes. Run it.
I also think we got to start taxing wealth for people who have over $100 million. I mean, at that point, like, what even are you going to do with more money?
What are you going to do with more money? I mean, whatever I want.
I mean, Jesse, I don't know how much you make. Look,
I don't know how much
not
you
a
billion.
Make, but I think I'd rather have. Well, yeah, look, so that's exactly it, right? The question ultimately is, do you want to drive on good roads, or would you rather have a billionaire make a second billion? That's what Mike Rogers wants. That's what Donald Trump wants. Apparently, that's what you want. I think the people in Michigan want something different. They want good roads and good schools.
So you're saying Beyonce, who just became a billionaire, she has to break you off something every year? She has to pay the politicians?
It's not me. It's the American public.
You're
Beyonce,
the one that wants the money.
To be able to contribute back to the public schools that she went to. I think she'd be happy to invest in good roads in her community. I think she'd be happy to pay.
I think the reality was this: people wouldn't actually mind paying the taxes if they actually could see where the money is going. The only thing that happens when it comes to these types of people and Democrats in general, government grows, meaning the jobs grow, and you end up paying people obscene amount of money to administrate governmental duties, but the people who actually give the money don't actually see the benefits. When you look at the communist countries around the world, their infrastructure sucks. They've taxed everybody into oblivion, and before you know it, there's no more money to tax, and the infrastructure just falls apart. Look at Venezuela. Look at Cuba. Look at Germany. Pre the Berlin Wall coming down. Their infrastructure was terrible. So these people, they talk about this, but these are some of the worst stewards of money, because they'll just another program. They'll give money to another nonprofit, which typically is their friends. They fatten their coffers. They never actually accomplish anything, because the goal isn't to accomplish anything. As long as there's a problem, we can create a nonprofit or an NGO. Those people get the money. They never actually solve the problem. They can come back every year and say, hey, we need more money to solve said problem that we don't have any intent on solving. We don't trust these people at all.
A little bit more so that everybody had a little bit more.
You're reaching a little deep into the pockets,
to be defending
Abdul.
Billionaires from your channel, Jesse. That's a crazy thing. I thought you were for. I'm just saying. Look, at the end of the day, I thought you were for the everyday man. Like, if you're for billionaires more than you're for every other person, well, you and I are just going to disagree.
No, I just think I have the right to the fruits of my own labor. That's America. It's not communist, what you're talking about.
No, the problem
Let
with
me
it,
ask
Jesse,
you
is
about
you and I both
socialized
know
health care.
Billionaires don't make money. Let me just answer the question.
Sure.
No. Let me go back to that.
Go ahead.
Billionaires don't make their money off of their labor. That, I think, is where you head off. Billionaires that make their money off their money. So if you have $1 billion, your billion makes another 100 million. That's not the fruits of your labor. That's just the fruits of your money making money. I think it's okay. Like, if we tax you at 7%, you're still gonna make what, a cool $30 million off your $1 billion? I think it's okay. They're gonna be okay, Jesse.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of politicians like you capping how much money people make in America. That's just me. We can have the voters in Michigan decide. You say you want socialized health care. Abdul, how much is that going to cost?
It's going to cost the average Michigander a whole lot less than they pay right now. But I'm just going to tell you.
No, but what's the
I'm
price
up against
tag
a
of the
guy
program?
who voted to raise prescription drug prices 19 times, right? And so I'm just saying, I want to bring your costs down. The price of the program is going to be substantially less for an everyday person who's out here who can't afford their health care and worried about losing their health care with their job.
Well,
That's not true. And that's the reason why he won't answer the question is how much is this going to cost? Because we're already $40 trillion in debt. We're already subsidizing healthcare already in this country to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. Healthcare premiums have gone up. Healthcare deductibles have gone up. Healthcare customer service has gone down. So much so that people who have insurance don't even want to go because it costs them too much money to do it. What we also know is that our neighbor to the north of us who actually have socialized healthcare can't get anything done. More people die waiting on care than a little bit. We talked about this on the show a while back. It's in the hundreds of thousands of people that die. You need an MRI, 6 months. You find out you got cancer and you need, you need some form of care or something along those lines. You're 6 to 12 months before you receive care. You're 6 to 12 months to just be completely diagnosed so they can tell you these are your options. Most people die before they even get a chance to experience the quote unquote socialized healthcare. And the only people that win in this are the insurance companies and the hospital systems and the pharmaceutical companies. And I would assume the politicians, because they get the kickbacks from the government subsidizing something that we know doesn't work.
That's
The
what I'm
total
focused on.
number.
Look, while you're out here trying to talk about the broader national budget, I'm a lot more interested in the everyday budgets that Michiganders are thinking about. And that's exactly the budget that Donald Trump and Mike Rogers are blowing up right now.
Well,
I just
all right.
don't see why you're so on the side of the billionaires, Jesse, rather than on the side of everyday Michiganders.
No, because I don't want you guys to blow the country up. Do you know how much the federal budget is now?
No, neither do I. Here's exactly
What's the federal budget?
You guys want to, right, Pete Hegseth,
Hey,
who used to
Abdul,
work
answer
for
the
your,
question.
your
Do you know
channel,
what the federal budget
wanted
is?
to raise. No. I just want to talk about this. Look, you want to talk about budgets, I'm happy to do that. The guy who used to work on your channel, I think he was like the 6th host on the 5, he wanted to raise our military budget to $1.5 trillion, and you don't seem to be upset about that. What, so we can fight a war we don't know how to get out of, to raise our gas prices $5 a gallon? That doesn't make sense to me, Jesse. We want to talk about the things that we actually should spend on. To me,
I
that's
have a
healthcare
feeling,
and
Abdul,
childcare
you don't
and
even
good
know how
schools.
much money the government spends every year. Do you know?
Look, the question, Jesse, to me
All right,
is,
so you
I
don't know.
what
Let me tell you
Michiganders
what
are
it is.
spending,
It's
and
$7
that's what I'm
trillion
focused on.
a year. And your plan
Jesse,
to take over the
I can tell you
healthcare
that,
system
that
is
is secondary.
$4
And
trillion.
here's the problem with it. So to exactly your point,
I mean,
do you know what
I'm not very
1.5
good at
trillion
math.
out of
I don't think you're
7.5
very good
trillion
at
is?
math either, but go ahead.
Clearly you don't. And you don't seem to care. But I don't think most Americans want to spend that much money on military escapades so that the folks stranded on the USS Abraham Lincoln can't even get a sausage for breakfast. I just think that we could do a lot better with our money, Jesse, and I think that's where you and I tend to disagree.
I just disagree.
Mike Rogers agrees with you. And
I think
the
if you
American public and
spend $4
Michiganders
trillion,
don't agree with you.
everything else is going to get really expensive. You're going to look back at Bidenflation, and you're going to wish you were back there. But you brought up foreign policy.
Yeah, this guy is full of sugar honey iced tea. He is full of it. And he's in over his skis. How are you running for a Senate seat? You don't know what our budget is. How are you running for a Senate seat advocating for something, but you don't know how much it costs? Or is it a situation where you know how much it costs, but you don't want to toss out the number because the number is so obscene that the average American will say, wait, we're already $40 trillion in debt. And the reality of it is this: even if you just confiscated all the money from the billionaires, it would not cover what these crazy communists would like to do. Their goal is to ultimately bankrupt the daggone country, and America as we know it would no longer exist.
What you said, and we talked about it, so we're all good. You also said this: you want to replace the right to bear arms with the right to health care. You don't want to replace the Second Amendment, do you?
Well, look, man, I think more people are more worried about whether or not they can see a doctor than whether or not they can have a gun. I'm just going to put that out there.
I mean, you're
And if you
dodging the
disagree with me
question.
go
Do you
ahead
want
and
to
pull it,
replace
all right?
the Second Amendment?
I'm just saying that more people are more concerned about seeing a doctor. If we had a right to health care in this country, they probably wouldn't. And I think that'd be a pretty good thing, don't you?
I think you dodged the question. And that's a pretty big one in Michigan. But I'll take it as what you said.
Wait, this is what the communists do. Hey, if you go and look at what happened in Venezuela, if you go and look at the timeline of what happened in Venezuela when they elected Hugo Chavez, they brought in what this dude's talking about, this universal, government-ran healthcare. Then they start stymieing people's ability to speak out. And then they took the weapons away. And at that point, a full-fledged, just totalitarian regime took over and oppressed and put the people in bondage. Anybody that spoke out was either taken out or arrested. That is their game plan. People need to believe history. First off, you need to go and read it, learn it, and understand where these shucksters, these shysters, these grifters, they received their ideology. They received the game plan on how to go about doing this. How do you subjugate a people? You do all the things, and he said, okay, they're going to give me the power. Okay, now once we get the power, we're going to take the weapons, and once we take the weapons, we have the people. That's why he didn't want to come out and say that, because in Michigan, they believe in the Second Amendment, especially those that live outside these cities, and even those that live in the cities. This dude is full of sugar honey iced tea, man. He is not to be trusted. To be honest with you, none of these smiling folks like this, smiling your face, while deep down they have ill will towards you.
You
Jesse,
said
look,
Colin
at the end of the day,
Kaepernick.
I'm perfectly fine with people. Let me just finish to answer your point. You said I dodged a question. I'm perfectly okay with people having their hunting rifles. It's an important pastime. I've got family that goes hunting every single year. But don't you think we should have a right to health care? Don't you think that'd be a good thing in America? Can we just say that?
75% of the country likes the health care coverage they have. I don't want to screw that up.
No, 75% of the country wants guaranteed health care through Medicare for all. So maybe
I would say 100% of the country wants healthcare to go back the way it was prior to the Not So Affordable Healthcare Act. Most of us want that when premiums were lower, deductibles were lower, and healthcare service was better. Most of us want that. But
Talk to me. What's really going on in Deer Park, Michigan, my friend?
Pastor, my whole life, I'm 45 years old, my whole life, only thing I've done is given my money to Arabs. My whole life.
Wow.
There's not a place I can go. There's no gas I can spend. There's not a bottle of water I can buy. There's not a place in this city that a black man can't go where he's not funding Islam. And that's what's happening. And they've built mosques. Can you imagine in Texas, they're building 4 mosques a month debt free. Can you imagine they just built a $20 million mosque right down the street from me? And there are only about 100,000 people. We represent 700,000 people in the city of Detroit in terms of Black Americans, and we're funding them. The man of God, when preaching the gospel becomes dangerous, when I can't even say Jesus in a place. Man of God, we've come to a place where I had to have armed security around me. I had to bring cats from the hood to protect me from saying Jesus in my own country. I'm not saying I hate Islam. I'm not saying I hate Muslims. I'm saying there are 57 countries where you can practice that.
Yes.
Go back there. But there's a reason why you're not going back, because you've not come here to assimilate. You've come here to take over. In my state, you have Abdul al-Sayed literally running for Senate. Do we know that senators pick judges to recommend the presidents? They are putting themselves in a position so that we would live in Islamic, jihadist, totalitarian, communistic, socialist states of America. But prophet, we're saying enough is enough. Not on our watch. For such a time as this, we're fighting against this spirit that's trying to take over our nation.
Pastor Soul said it all, man, and we're going to end it right there. I want to hear your thoughts on the interview, on what Pastor Soul had to say. Hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. I appreciate you guys supporting what we're doing over here. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My heart stays steady. But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory. Through my Lord Jesus Christ, fear can't live in me. I was down to the dirt, red clay on my shoes, old pain in my shirt, oh so bruised. Then the Lord hit my chest, kicked air from my breath, put power in my step.